Safe hoisting practices will provide years of economical service and a great safety record. In order to safely and effectively accomplish any hoist application, it's important to use a hoist that's rated for the load, be familiar with its intended use, and keep the hoist properly maintained. The operator has the greatest opportunity to improve a plant's safety record, and this program will provide an overview of the main safety do's and don'ts for hoist operation. For specific questions or information, please refer to American National Safety Standards, ANSI B30 series for hoists, and your hoist manufacturer's operating and maintenance instructions. There are 3 important points to remember for a safe hoisting operation: a safe hoist, a safe load, and a safe operator. The operator should carefully check to make sure the hoist is properly installed and operating correctly. First, inspect a new hoist when it arrives. Start off with a safe hoist. Always read the manufacturer's operating and maintenance instructions. Read warning labels carefully. They provide important information about the safe operation of the hoist. When using a hoist that is already in service, there are important steps to follow for a good safety inspection. Chain inspection is very important for safe operation. Check each link for gouges, nicks, weld spatter, corrosion, and distortion. Damaged chain can lead to hoist failure and possibly cause the operator to drop the load. Inspect each link for wear to the diameter of the link. Use calipers to measure the links on the unused part of the chain. Then, measure the used part of the chain to make sure there has been no stretching. Refer to your hoist maintenance manual for the proper percentage to determine if your chain is stretched. It's extremely important to keep the load chain properly lubricated. This prevents wear and damage to the chain, chain guide, and load sheave, and increases the life of the hoist. Refer to your maintenance manual for the proper type of lubricant. Never lengthen the load chain by welding or splicing, as this will weaken the load chain and cause chain failure. Only use the manufacturer's recommended hoist load chain. Any substitution can cause damage to the hoist or injury to a worker. Always use the hoist with the proper length of chain, and on electric chain hoists, use a chain container. When using a hoist with a double-reeved load block, carefully check that the load block has not capsized or twisted. Twisted load chain will damage the hoist and chain. On a hoist that uses wire rope, check for broken or frayed wires by running a rag or a gloved hand along the length of the rope. If the strands are frayed, this could be an indication of side pulling. If you pull at an angle, the rope slides out of the groove, wrapping around itself, or it could ride up over the grooves, in either case causing the wire rope to wear rapidly. It's also possible for the drum groove to be worn to a point that it is cutting the strands. This is a serious condition, and you should replace the wire rope and/or the drum. Periodically, check the diameter of the wire rope for stretching. A stretched wire rope will cause excessive wear on running sheaves and drum grooves. Refer to your hoist manufacturer's manual for the proper rope diameter and measurement procedure. To improve wire rope life, always use the proper wire rope lubricant recommended by the hoist manufacturer. Always inspect your hooks for overloading and wear. Check for stretched, broken, or cracked hooks and damaged or missing safety latches. If any of these conditions exist, you should replace the hook. For proper hook opening dimensions, refer to your hoist maintenance manual. On 3-phase hoists, after connecting the hoist to the power source, double-check your up and down controls from the push button station by pushing the up button first. If the hoist direction does not match the indicated push button direction, a reverse phase condition exists. If this goes undetected, it can cause bypassing of safety limit switches, resulting in possible motor burnout and hoist damage. To correct this, change 2 wires at the power source. Do not rewire the push button to correct this problem. Be sure all power is shut off before working on any electric hoists. Always make sure the limit switches are set properly. Adjustment of the limit switches is simple to do, and they can prevent damage to the hoist by keeping the hoist hook from traveling too far. Limit switches are emergency devices only and should not be used as operating stops. Always inspect the hoist brakes for drift or wear. Make sure the load stops on its way up and down as soon as you release the push button. Lift the load a few inches, release the push button, and check for load drift. Worn brakes or brakes that need adjusting will allow the load to drift. Refer to your hoist maintenance manual for brake service and repair. When using an air hoist, all hoist safety procedures apply. In addition, inspect the air supply and connections. Inspect all connections to be sure they are tight. Be sure the airline oiler has the proper supply of oil and a filter is used. Always refer to the manufacturer's operation and maintenance manual for troubleshooting. Proper trolley installation can prevent a serious accident. Installing a trolley the wrong way can cause the trolley to tilt off the I-beam and possibly fall, causing injury to people and damage to the load. First, measure the width of your I-beam, and then refer to your hoist maintenance manual for the correct number of washers needed, which properly adjusts the trolley to the I-beam. Inspect all hoists in service regularly. Replace damaged or worn parts, and keep maintenance records to make sure that all hoists are safe hoists. Let's review some do's and don'ts for safe hoists. Do read ANSI B30 series safety standard for hoists and hoist manufacturers' operating and maintenance instructions. Do not use the hoist with twisted, kinked, damaged, or worn wire rope or chain. Do apply lubricant to the wire rope or load chain as recommended by the hoist manufacturer. Do not attempt to lengthen the load rope or chain or repair damaged load rope or chain. Do make sure hook travel is in the same direction as shown on the controls. Do make sure hoist limit switches function properly. Ensuring a safe load is also up to the operator. Keep the work area clear of debris and other objects not related to the operation. Always use a separate sling or lifting attachment to move your load. Make sure that the slings and other riggings have sufficient capacity to support the load and are in safe working condition. Always take up slack carefully. Check load balance. Lift a few inches and check load holding action before continuing. Do not use load chain or rope as a sling. Do not wrap rope or chain around the load. Be careful not to apply the load to the tip of the hook, as this will stretch the hook and make it unsafe to use. Side pulling will damage your hoist, endanger your work area, and will cause excessive wear to the chain or wire rope. Also, the trolley could possibly tip and become unsafe. With lever hoists, always pull in a straight line between points. With electric or hand chain hoists, align the hoist directly over the load. You should always operate the hoist only when the load is properly centered. Never lift more than the rated load. Overloading the hoist can cause serious damage to the hoist and serious injury to the operator. The hoist is designed to lift its rated capacity. Use a hoist that's rated for the weight of the load. On manual hoists, if the effort to lift the load appears to be excessive, recheck the load and use a larger capacity hoist. On electric hoists that have overload limiting devices, if your load is excessive, the hoist will not lift the load. However, do not use the load limiting feature to test the weight of the load. Let's review some do's and don'ts for safe loads. Do make sure that load slings or other approved sling attachments are properly sized and seated in the hook saddle. Do take up slack carefully. Check load balance. Lift a few inches and check load holding action before continuing. Do not lift more than rated load. Do not use the hoist load limiting device to measure the load. Do not use load rope or load chain as a sling or wrap rope or chain around the load. Do not apply the load to the tip of the hook. Do not operate unless the load is centered under the hoist. Do not use limit switches as routine operating stops unless recommended. They are emergency devices only. The third and most important point is a safe operator. The operator is responsible for making sure the hoist and the load are safe. Always maintain a firm footing when operating the hoist. Also be sure that a lever hoist free chains properly. Make sure that the load is free to move and will clear all obstructions. Remember, do not use hoists to lift, support, or transport people, nor should you ever lift loads over people. Never leave a load suspended and unattended. Someone could walk or drive into the load, causing personal injury, or the load could drop. Always make sure that people stay clear of the suspended load and do not allow the load to swing. When operating lever hoists, a cheater bar should never be used to operate the hoist, nor should more than one person operate the hoist lever at the same time. With a cheater bar, you can seriously damage a hoist or injure the operator. In summary, never use a damaged hoist to lift or pull a load. Always inspect the hoist regularly, replace damaged parts, and report any malfunction, unusual performance, or damage to a supervisor. Let's review some do's and don'ts for safe operators. Do maintain firm footing when operating hoist. Do make sure that the load is free to move and will clear all obstructions. Do make sure that all persons stay clear of the suspended load. Do promptly report any malfunction, unusual performance, or damage of the hoist. Do inspect hoist regularly, replace damaged or worn parts, and keep appropriate records of maintenance. Do not use hoists to lift, support, or transport people. Do not lift loads over people. Do not leave a suspended load unattended unless specific precautions have been taken. Remember, safety is your job. A safe operator lifting a safe load with a safe hoist improves plant safety and gets the job done right. The multi-product manufacturing firm known today as Duff Norton Company was established in 1883. In 1955, Duff Norton purchased the coughing Hoist Company of Danville, Illinois, USA. Already a leading producer of mechanical jacks, Duff Norton was now in the hoist business with a broadened market horizon, and the proprietary name coughing was to become the standard for hoist quality in the United States of America. The company's products are marketed globally through distributors and original equipment manufacturers to meet exacting specifications. Major industries having applications for coughing products